Don't worry if you can't get your hands on a Dollar Tree dresser because I'll show you how to make one using cardboard. I copied the dimensions of the Dollar Tree dresser, which you can find right here and in the description. Since the paper pattern is really flimsy, I used a glue stick to glue the pieces to some cereal box. This will make it easier to trace my template onto cardboard. When I created my template, I adjusted the dimensions to account for the thickness of cardboard. If you're making your dresser out of wood, I'll leave additional dimensions in the description. When you cut out your pieces, double check they're the correct size and do some additional trimming if necessary. I labeled each piece to make it easier to assemble. To begin assembly, I'm using some white glue to attach each of the side pieces to one of the back pieces. I'm adding the second back piece in between the two side pieces to form this hollow rectangle. While the white glue is still wet, I'm just adjusting everything to make sure it's square. To hold it in place while it dries, I'm adding a little bit of hot glue to each corner. To cover the exposed corrugation on the front of the dresser, I'm using my craft knife to cut through the layer of paper on the cardboard and gluing it to the front of the dresser. To make sure the entire sheet of paper is in contact with glue, I'm spreading it out. I'll trim off the overhang when it dries. I cut out my top piece and now I'm using some cardboard paper to cover all the corrugation around the edges. To make sure it holds quickly, I'm using hot glue. I think it's easier to add a piece that's too big and then trim off the excess afterward rather than try to cut the perfect size piece. I covered all four sides of the corrugation on the piece marked front and the bottom skirting board. You can glue the entire front piece to the dresser like on the original dresser I'm copying, but to make mine look a bit more realistic, I'm cutting this piece into drawers. 3 of the sides of corrugation are already covered with the paper, so I only need to cover this one side. You can use more cardboard paper or a piece of cereal box strip like this. I used white glue to attach the top of the dresser, and I'm using more white glue to attach all of the drawers. While the white glue is still wet, I'm adjusting the drawers to get the spacing right. This is a little trick I use to avoid having to measure with precision, which is not my favorite thing. To attach the bottom trim, I cut a piece of cardboard the same size as the base and glued the skirting board to the front with some overhang on the left and right. I glued on some more skirting board to each side and covered the exposed corrugation with more paper. To find the center point of the front skirting board without measuring, I cut a piece of paper the same length, folded it in half, and made a mark at the fold line. I'm using an inexpensive hole punch I got at the Dollar Tree to make a pattern on the front. I'm doing this as an afterthought, but it's a good idea to make this pattern first before you attach the front piece in case you accidentally mess it up or you just don't like it. Glue the base to the drawers and construction is complete. There's a small amount of texture on the cardboard, so if you like, you can fill it with some spackle. I got this spackle at the Dollar Tree. For more detail, I cut rectangles of cereal box and glued them on the drawer fronts. I painted the dresser and added brown paint to the top so it looks like it has a stained wood top. I sealed the entire dresser with some water-based polyurethane. I'm making some simple drawer pulls using some jump rings and sequins. I folded a piece of sewing thread in half to make a loop and put it through the jump ring. I'm using some tweezers to grab the tail and pulling it through the loop. I trimmed the tail of the thread much shorter and passed it through the sequin, and I'm securing it with some glue. With the glue dry, I trimmed off all the threads and stuck them to a piece of tape for painting. I added some Mod Podge to acrylic paint so it'll stick to the plastic sequins and metal jump rings. I topped the black base coat with some gold. This is part 1 of a 4-video series showing you how to make Dollar Tree furniture at home.